Kia ora and welcome to this episode of The Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite, life coach. With me today is Rachel Pilwa, beautiful singer, book buyer, Austenite, and all-round nerd.
Hi! Hello! Look, we gotta find a way to get through this chapter. For me, it might be singing.
So we're on to chapter 43. Guys, this is the most painful chapter in the entire novel.
I think it might be the most painful chapter Jane Austen ever wrote. Of all of her books, this is the scene that I have to skip over the most when I'm reading.
After going strawberry picking at Donwell Abbey yesterday, they haven't had enough of spending time with each other, which is insane, and then spend another entire day socialising away from home at Boxhill. And it's so awkward because no one knows that Frank and Jane are fighting, and this is causing tension for everybody, and nobody knows why everybody's so tense.
You read these books, but you still kind of think, well, actually, do people behave the same way in certain situations or feel the same feelings now as they did back then? The awkwardness, the thing. And I was thinking just the other day, I felt like so stressed at work, and I was like, actually, I feel just like everyone at work is stressed. And I was like, actually, I feel like everyone in the city of Wellington is feeling so stressed. And I just felt like it made the whole day just really stressful because it was just this feedback loop. But nobody was saying anything stressful. No one was doing anything stressful. Just everybody felt stressed. Life was so different back then. Was it the same? This chapter tells us, yes, it was. Everybody is on edge and tense because two people have reason to be tense, and it's just affecting the whole vibe of the party.
And I think it's harder because nobody understands exactly why they're tense. It's a bit like Wellington. Why is everybody so tense? What's going on at the moment? And because the world is on fire.
The world's on fire. The weather's terrible. It's actually raining right now, which I think is fitting for how my soul feels about this chapter. The winter blues, I think, are what's currently hitting Wellington the most. Like, you know, it's always that changing of the seasons when winter comes around and it's getting cold and everyone's just kind of dreary and meh. They don't have this excuse in this chapter. It's a lovely sunny day.
It's summer. They're in summer.
They're in summer.
They go to Boxhill, which is about 31 k's southwest of London. It's named after the ancient box woodland found on the steepest west-facing chalk slopes overlooking the River Mole.
I may have been born in the UK. I never heard of the River Mole before.
This is a touristy place. They're going to the top of a hill to look at the views, and they're not the only ones there. When we see adaptations of this, it's just their party. But we know that other people are there because it's a popular tourist place, but also Miss Bates says, oh, that's the people from the Irish car party. The Thing About Austen podcast does an entire episode about the Irish car party, which you should go listen to. It's very good. It's a different type of carriage where you get on it and you could kind of see everything as you went.
That's pretty cool.
Like trams, how they had the seats down the side.
Yeah. Where do they pee while they're at Boxhill? Are there bathrooms?
No, there won't be bathrooms.
Does everyone just go in nature if they need to go? Do they bring chamber pots with them? Probably not.
I imagine they go in the bushes and it would be real difficult, but they, you know, this is what servants are for. We will hold things up and try and make things more comfortable and private for you.
Which servants are they bringing with them? They're travelling as a party together. Yes, they'll have coachmen or whatever to get them there. But a coachman cannot help a young lady lift up her dress while she's peeing. So does that mean they have, like, ladies' maids with them?
You've got to remember they also have a cold coalition, as they refer to it. So they have, like, a picnic. So there's got to be maids to do that stuff as well. And they probably came in their own carriage.
Yeah, that would make sense. These little things that I don't really think about very often. Just go on with the flow of the story, not thinking of all the little bits of, like, actually, yeah, they probably didn't bring the food. People would have brought the food and set it up for them.
It's like on The Bachelor when they have dates and they just walk along and it's beautifully set up for a date. They're like, yeah, this is something I arranged earlier. But they didn't. It was the crew.
Yeah, and it was probably not even their idea. It was someone else's idea.
Yeah, they went, here's an idea for an entire date. Who do you want to take?
The host of this one was Mr. Woodhouse, probably making sure everyone had enough food to eat, probably tons of blankets for them to use. And he just told the servants what to do, and they were like, yes, sir. They need to have a screen around them, just
so they don't get cold.
What if there's a chill on the hill? He would be an excellent picnic planner, I think. I mean, as long as you didn't have to take it all yourself, and someone was there for you, you'd have everything you need.
He would plan for every eventuality.
Yeah.
But he'd also try and make you not go.
But if he knew you were so determined to go that he couldn't stop you?
Then make sure you take an umbrella and you take a blanket that's got a tarp underneath it.
Yeah, he'd have like a survive in the wild kit ready to go. Just the ultimate prepared, like survivalist, just from all of his worrying alone. But he wouldn't go and use any of those things because he wouldn't leave his house, but he'd make sure everybody else had one.
Perhaps he'd work really well in health and safety.
He'd just be so anxious all the time while doing that, while doing a safety check. And he'd be like, that's wrong. You didn't wash your hands? Oh my goodness.
We're all going to die. Actually organised by Mr. Weston, and he's chill. He directed the whole and officiates between Hartfield and the vicarage, who, as we know, don't really talk to each other. In this chapter, the Eltons are quite happy to mix and be agreeable, despite them being the Eltons. But there's still a principle of separation because, and nobody understands this, it's Jane and Frank that are making sure that everybody stays apart. Like when they arrive, everyone's like, yay, we're here. They just need to be happy, to have a good time, but they can't. There's little groups. The Eltons are together. Miss Bates and Jane are with Mr. Knightley. Emma and Harriet are with Frank. Problem being, of course, that Harriet wants to be with Mr. Knightley. Emma is actually at one point like, you know what, I'd rather be myself. And Frank and Jane are trying to stay apart. The Eltons can't really go and hang out with Miss Bates, Jane and Mr. Knightley because Jane is also probably avoiding the Eltons a little bit because just the day before, Mrs. Elton was bullying her about taking the job. And they cannot go hang out with Emma, Harriet and Frank because obviously they're trying to avoid Emma. Mr. Weston's just kind of flitting between all the groups, trying to make everybody happy.
And like, you can't have Frank with Mr. Knightley because Mr. Knightley doesn't like Frank. I'm actually just like mind mapping this. I feel like I need red string.
Things would have gone differently if Mrs. Weston was there.
If she'd been here, she would have been the glue that kind of...
And Frank would have behaved himself.
Yeah. And she would have probably noticed that something was going on in some way and would have made sure, like, she would have been making sure that Frank was with Emma.
Which he was.
But she probably would have also then been paying, like, a lot of attention to, like, you know, making sure everybody else was happy, I think.
Yeah.
And there is no solution. Hey, y'all sort out your frickin' differences, please.
So almost everyone's unhappy.
No one actually really wants to be there.
Well,
except for maybe
Eltons.
The Eltons, yeah, I was going to say. Mrs. Elton definitely does. She's so narcissistic, she only sees what she wants to see. She's happy, and so everyone else must be as well.
Harriet's dull because she's not with Mr. Knightley, presumably, and she might be jealous because he's with Jane. They all sit down, presumably, to have their picnic, and Frank kind of goes off the rails. He is flirting full out with Emma, and we assume to make Jane jealous.
He's talkative and gay. Leave Jane. Find another man. I know that's not what it means, but every time I'm like, find yourself a cute boy, Frank.
I think in the Promise and Promiscuity that I lent you, there's a Frank and Mr. Knightley scene.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they dislike each other, because actually...
Frank was hitting on Mr. Knightley.
Mm.
It's a wild book. If anyone enjoys a slight queer retelling of things, definitely give it a go.
I think there's only one...
There's only that one.
There's only that one.
But I still think there's a lot of good other rewritings from the snippets I've read.
Emma's aware that Frank's flirting means nothing. It's just kind of his way. There's such an appearance, there's no English word, but flirtation could describe it. And it made me think of Jane Austen with Tom Lefroy. She sends letters to Cassandra saying, I'm almost afraid to tell you how we behaved. Everything most profligate and shocking in the way of dancing and sitting down together. And then she does actually refer to it as flirting the last time that she sees him. How dare people sit and talk together and dance just to each other. It is very flirtatious. Emma laughs because she's disappointed, like in Pride and Prejudice when Lizzie laughs when she'd rather cry because her father's making jokes that Darcy doesn't like her.
Yes, when he gets the letter from Mr. Collins.
And again, it's Emma having to behave a certain way to make other people happy.
Having to manage other people's emotions. The life of Emma Woodhouse.
But he's laying it on really thick.
I think
she's the only thing that makes him happy.
He doesn't know how to handle an angry woman.
Nope.
And that is what Jane is. And obviously they haven't been able to talk about it. And so he's trying to still hide the relationship, hide that they're angry. And so he's literally deflecting, but way too far. Like, he is just overcompensating because he doesn't know what to do.
He's going so hard. He is flirting hard out with Emma. He's trying to provoke Jane, and he manages to. So when the Eltons get up, walk away, he's like, isn't it nice that only known each other so short a time in a public place? It's only seeing women in their own homes that you actually get to understand who they are. And she's like, sure, sometimes that might be what happens, but there's time to recover. Only weak, irresolute characters will suffer from it.
Oh.
He's like, maybe I got engaged to you too quickly. Now I see you for who you really are. And she's like, you're weak and irresolute. Yep, I have little confidence in my own judgment. Hey, Emma, you'll find me a wife, right? In front of Jane.
In front of Jane. In front of his father, who everybody at this point knows wants Frank and Emma to get together. Buddy, that's a wrong move. They're sticking your foot in it, but you'd already done that. And now you've just put it all the way up to your legs.
It is a mess. At this point, Emma's like, I don't even want to be here. I would rather be with the Eltons. I'd rather be alone. I cannot.
I'm trying to think of what I would do in Emma's place. We're luckily at the point in society where I would just be able to excuse myself to go to the bathroom. Just sit in the bathroom on my phone for a while. I'd come back and I'd be like, so sorry guys, I got a text that I'm actually going to need to go home. They don't have the excuse of, I got a call and I need to leave. No one sent a random message to say, hey, I actually need you home. Though, can you imagine if they could, that Mr. Woodhouse would be sending one every 30 seconds saying Emma, I really need you to come home. There's an emergency at the house. But the emergency is just the door was slightly ajar and he couldn't close it.
Technically, he could send a servant after her. Frank is a little bit tired, potentially, of being the only entertainment in the party.
That's such a male thing. I'm getting all this attention and I'm being the only sort of entertainment. No one's funny. We can't just sit here and not be entertained by somebody. And I'm just so sick and tired of being that person. Somebody else be interesting for once, please.
Yeah, Emma's like, we shouldn't be being ridiculous when everybody else is quiet. He's like, no, don't worry. I'll handle this. So Miss Woodhouse has ordered me, because she presides wherever she is, which makes Mrs. Elton swell at the idea, I am chaperone of this party. How very dare you?
I'm a married woman and she's not. I am in charge, please. Actually, if Mrs. Weston was here, would she then be presiding? Or because Mrs. Elton is still the newest bride?
Oh, Mrs. Elton will still think she's presiding, even though Mrs. Weston would be, because it's her husband's party.
Yeah. Mrs. Weston, I still think, would defer to Emma if she was there.
Probably.
It would be her husband's party, but I think she would still defer to Emma as the hostess.
Some of this is Mr. Weston's fault for bringing all these people together.
He's had to organise it between Hartfield and the Eltons because they don't talk to each other. Hey, buddy, maybe if you know they don't talk to each other, there's a very good reason for that. There's a lot of scenes where I'm like, Mr. Weston's a really lovely guy, and he has the best intentions. And then there's scenes like this where I'm just like, you're so almost purposely oblivious to the feelings of others that it just really annoys me. He is so determined to have the party that he wants, to imagine this little gathering where everyone will be like, oh, thank you so much, Mr. Weston, for inviting us here. We had the most wonderful time. You're such an excellent host. Hey man, host a party for sure, but host multiple parties with different people who do like each other.
Emma may be a bitch, but she's more realistic. She knows who not to mix in parties, and she manages it to make sure that everybody's comfortable in talking. But this isn't her role here, so she can't make sure everybody's happy and together. Frank's just like, I want everyone to tell Miss Woodhouse something interesting, and she's like, no, I don't actually want to know what people are thinking.
Yeah.
I think they might say mean things about me, except Mr. Weston and Harriet, because they don't have much thoughts in their head. Mrs. Elton's pissed, obviously. Her husband's totally on her side, exactly so, as he always says. And then the worst thing happens. Miss Bates opens her mouth, self-deprecatingly says, I shall be sure to say 3 dull things as soon as I open my mouth, shan't I? This is kind of a Kiwi humour thing. We're self-deprecating. We want people to laugh, but maybe also disagree with us. We don't want people to pile on, which is what Emma does. You limited to number, only 3.
Oof.
I listened to this chapter several times, and one of those times I actually laughed at this.
It can be read as quite funny.
Except that Miss Bates is lovely.
If it had been any other character who had said that, I think if Frank had said that line, it would have been really funny for Emma to say that. Yeah, you're only limited to 3 though, buddy. It's the exact kind of thing I would say to like one of my co-workers. My co-worker Marcus, shout out to him again because I know he listens. Marcus could say anything, and if he said, I'll only say 3 things, and I'm like, make it 1. I'd be like, yeah, 3, and then you never speak again. I feel like there's certain people who I have relationships with who I could definitely make those kind of jokes and it would be funny. Those people are ones who would equally give it back to me. So if I said the same thing, that would be their response as well. And that is not this relationship.
Nope.
Emma is just so above Miss Bates in many ways, standing and wealth and the class that she's part of. They can never be an equal footing, and they have never been friends. They're not people who like hang out with each other. You could say this to Frank because they're on a more equal standpoint. You could say this to Mr. Knightley. It would cause a fight if she said it to Mrs. Elton, but I think they're more on an equal standing than Miss Bates, who we know is an older woman. She's poor, and she is just kind. She doesn't have a mean bone in her body compared to all the others. Like, Mr. Knightley's not mean, but he's straightforward and he has a close relationship with Emma. Frank's always the entertaining jester kind of sort. Mrs. Elton's a bitch, so saying mean things to her, good on you. But Miss Bates, of everybody in this circle, you need to be sweet and nice too, because that's what she would do.
She is sweet and nice, and she's lower down the
ladder, yeah.
It's the same thing we're talking about with Harriet and the Eltons. They're punching down by being mean to Harriet. Emma is punching down, making a joke about Miss Bates, and Miss Bates takes it on as actual feedback, thinking, I'm really annoying.
That's because they don't have that kind of relationship. If Emma Woodhouse, the golden daughter of the All of Highbury, is the one to make a joke that you talk too much, of course you're going to take that personally. I would take that so personally. I do take that personally half the time when someone's like, hey, be quiet. Like, shut up. Because I feel like I was told to be quiet a lot as a child. I have some issues, so don't worry about it.
ADHD.
Yeah, probably. She's probably had people say that to her before. Or, like, she is so self-aware. Like, she knows she talks a lot. She's never mean with when she's talking. Was she like this as a kid? Kids can be cruel. Did she have people who were mean to her previously because of how much she talked? We see this as, like, the first instance where someone is mean to Miss Bates. Doesn't necessarily mean that's always been the case.
I wonder if part of the reason she talks so much is because it's just her and her mother, and her mother's losing her hearing, so she doesn't really have anyone to talk to. Hence, she just talks and talks and talks.
She's her own companion.
I have witnessed this with other people who live alone. They do the same thing, although they're talking to the cat.
Mrs. Bates is Miss Bates's cat. Her mother passed away years ago, and she got a cat to replace her. And everybody in Highbury just pretends that the cat is her mother. They just go along with it.
It's the power dynamics that really matter here, and Mr. Knightley calls Emma out on it later.
I've got to give him snaps for that.
Thank you, Mr. Knightley. Emma's like, it's fine, it's totally fine. You should hear how she talked of it. You're dealing with her while her society is so irksome. If she were your equal, sure, that is not the case. She's poor and she's sunk from the comfort she was born to. If she lives to an old age, she'll probably sink more. You should be compassionate towards her. I know you don't like hearing me tell you off, but I will tell you these things while I can. You're getting under this guy's influence. You're going to marry him. This is the stuff behind that he's not saying. And she's beating herself up. She does realize she's done wrong, but she can't say anything to him. Anger against herself, she's mortified, and she's deeply concerned for what she said. She doesn't want Miss Bates to hurt, and she goes to thank him, but he's already gone.
I've never paid attention to that line while I can before. If she does marry Frank, which is what he currently thinks is potential to happen because she thinks that she's in love with Frank and vice versa, once they got married, he can't really not tell her what to do, but, you know, it becomes more inappropriate for him to have that relationship that they currently do, where they can kind of say whatever to each other.
They won't be as intimate. He will be losing her in a different way, not just in the way that he doesn't get to marry her, but
in the way that their relationship becomes completely different. They won't be able to have that little like quiet moments and their discussions on, I don't know, whatever they talk about.
He can't turn up every evening.
No. And if he did turn up every evening, Emma wouldn't be there. She'd be in her married home. You know, if she had married Frank, Frank would not be moving in. Like, Hartfield's nice, but he would not be able to live around Mr. Woodhouse full time.
And that's one of the reasons that Emma's really grateful that she's not going to marry him. But she is actually depressed after this, cries in the carriage on the way home. Harriet's there. Harriet's not necessarily happy either, but neither of them talk to each other.
I roll my eyes and I scoff and I say, how the hell are y'all best friends? You ain't. It's one thing for them to have had the misunderstanding of Emma thinking that Harriet likes Frank, actually liking Mr. Knightley, and them making a decision like not to say the name. Emma thinks that, and Emma's crying, and Harriet doesn't comfort her. Can you not even mention like, oh, Mr. Knightley said this to me and I'm really sad about it? Harriet would be like, oh, but he's so lovely. And them having that conversation and would probably turn into, oh, Frank was so mean. Like, he swayed me, you know? They don't talk about things. It just segues into part of their relationship where it's like even in a moment of like crying comfort or wherever, like they just can't even do that.
Mr. Knightley may be the only person that Emma talks to honestly about the way she's feeling. Mrs. Weston about some things, but yeah. Mr. Knightley about almost everything.
Yeah. He is the only person welcome into her internal monologue. He's your real friend. Because he knows Emma. Like part of the reason he knows her is because he's been there her entire life and he was a teenager, so it's really easy to kind of, you know, see everything about a person when you've known them the whole time. I don't have a problem with their age difference, don't worry about it. It comes back to that line just before that Frank says about not really knowing a woman unless you see her at home. Harriet's been to Emma's home, but she doesn't show Harriet all of who she is. There's so much that she's like, no, I've got to be this role model and I've got to teach her the right ways. And they're actually not true friends because there's actually so much that they don't know about each other. And like Emma knows Harriet a lot better because Harriet is so naive and open about everything. But there's so much that Harriet doesn't know about Emma because Emma won't show her. And actually, I think Mr. Knightley is the only person that truly knows Emma.
Yeah.
And like he calls her out on what she says, especially saying it to someone who's lower to her. Emma said that and it was mean, but I'm like, he knows she doesn't mean it. She said it and he knows she's going to be upset about it. But he's like, I'm going to make sure that you don't do this again.
He seems to think that he's actually lost her and that she's lost her way and been so swayed by Frank that now she will just be this nasty to people. Maybe
he feels like he doesn't know her as well as he used to because she's been so swayed by Frank. I do wonder, would Emma have said anything even remotely similar if she hadn't met Frank? If everybody except for Frank were here, I mean, the party would be very different because then there wouldn't be that fighting.
Fighting that causes this.
Yeah.
Everyone's agitated. There's this underlying tension. Frank is pretending to be happy and flirtatious and the ringleader of all of this, and he's pushing Emma into pretending that she's happy when everybody there is pretty much miserable.
I think Emma has spent so much time managing other people's emotions that she was then unable to manage her own. She was so busy trying to like keep Frank happy and match his energy that she then messes up.
It's almost like she just doesn't care anymore. She's tapped out.
There's been a lot of drama going on in her life. She probably had a fairly quiet life until all these people moved in and, you know.
From this chapter forward, it all piles on. Everything just happens in one go. There's no more kind of la things happening in Highbury. Everyone's just visiting each other. It's one on top of the other on top of the other.
Yeah, I feel like this is when the story really starts picking up pace.
Which is almost at the end.
Yeah, we've had full chapters where it's just leading up to the next thing, like, you know, leading up to the next party or just like introspection and stuff like that. But I feel like, yeah, from here it's like every chapter there's another little thing.
The only person apart from Miss Bates who takes up Frank on his challenge is Mr. Weston. He makes a conundrum. What two letters of the alphabet express perfection? He specifically says to Emma, you won't guess it. It's M and A. M-R.
Emery wants to get in your bed. Emery wants to get under your skin.
No, he wants you to be his daughter-in-law. Stop it.
It's such a cringe dad joke.
Mrs. Elton quite rightly actually says these sort of things are normal at Christmas when you're sitting around the fire. When you're exploring in the summer, this isn't what you normally do. But also, because no one's talking, that's why he's trying to get people talking and stuff. Of course, not to be outdone by Emma, Mrs. Elton talks about a man who wrote a poem for her once, an acrostic about her name, and then turns to her husband, you know who I mean. Boys flirt with me too, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really pretty and cute, and I'm also perfect. But my name just doesn't call me made out of just 2 letters of the alphabet. Shut up.
Mr. Elton passes, using again his I'm an old married man. It's a great excuse to get out of things, though. I don't feel like going to a ball. I'm an old married man. I can't go out now. Mrs. Elton's like, we are moving. Jane, come on. Jane stays to argue with Frank. Then shortly after that leaves with Miss Bates to follow the Eltons, and then not long after that Mr. Knightley follows. Then the next bit is the carriages. Mrs. Elton obviously has to have her carriage first. And Emma hopes never to be betrayed again into this sort of scheme with so many ill-assorted people. Again, that's at the foot at Mr. Weston.
She's just over it. She'll make sure to never hang out with this specific party at the same time, unless there's a lot more people there.
It's so much worse because they literally all spent yesterday together. People have not had a chance to have other things to talk about, to get their social battery back up. That's in addition to Frank and Jane fighting.
Everyone just sucks here, except for Miss Bates.
I don't think Mr. Knightley sucks. He calls out
No,
Emma.
that's true. Okay. And Harriet doesn't really say anything. She just is here quietly making mooning eyes at Miss Knightley.
Again, Harriet's just like fading into the background, but she's going to come to the foreground soon.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh, it's going to be bad.
But I'm dreading it. Not as much as I was dreading this chapter.
So there is more dramatics to come. And that's our discussion of chapter 43 of Emma by Jane Austen. I've been Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilper.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We wish you happy reading.
You better stop before you go and break my heart. And that's what this chapter does.